Hello, friends. This is your pal Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about the Numenera WUBRG campaign season 1. All right, run with the gold player. So at this point, Blackout. Okay, so he has been Wentworth, the talented wide receiver who passes all his tests. He has been Bearcat, the humanoid feline. Who humanoid feline rogue who moves like a cat, literally in the form of a bear cat, right? Which I thought that was fascinating. And then he is Blackout. Now, what's really interesting is at this point we've had three. At this point in the campaign, we've had 3 character sheets for the player character: Wentworth, Bearcat, Blackout. Now, Blackout is the final form character sheet all the way from the 9th age when there's only 5 species, right? But now we're starting in the nano block, the 7th age. And where we end up here is we simply use the Blackout character sheet at its max rating. And I should say that we've been leveling. Like when we leveled Wentworth and Bearcat, we also leveled Blackout at the same time. So Blackout is now 4th tier. 4th tier. Very powerful. Very powerful. At this point he's extremely adept. He's very perceptive. He's highly persuasive, and he has extremely high, like I would say he's essentially, think about a 12th level Dungeons and Dragons rogue on top of what I just said, right? So very, very powerful. And at this point, he is basically who moves like so basically at this point he is a jack, all right? And so yeah, was he an inquisitive jack who moves like a cat? No, he specifically was. He had a different descriptor. But at this point, we've met where the 7th age and the 9th age, the player character sheets are the same, and we're simply playing his jack character, right? Now, Numenera has 3 classes: Nano, Jack, Numenera Destiny. Numenera Discovery has 3 classes: Glaive, Jack, Nano. Glaive is a fighter. Jack, and actually, this is the best way to describe this. Glaive is a fighter. Nano is a wizard, okay? And Jack is in the middle, right? It's essentially a wizard who can fight, right? Which, if you think about it, isn't that what a rogue is? That's debatable, but yeah. All right, so at this point, we move in, and we've reached his 4th tier Jack, okay? And so how does he actually come out into the world, right? How does he arrive in the age of the nano, the 7th age? Well, a glaive comes across the Onyx Sanctuary, which is where he woke up at the very beginning of the campaign. So this glaive rescues him, right? And actually doesn't rescue him. He opens the timeless chamber, right? And so for the third time, he wakes up from the timeless chamber that was created by the Sunax, right? Very, very interesting. Really fascinating. What is it's really fascinating to me, like this hero of destiny, going through the ages. So at this point, this glaive finds him in the Onyx Sanctuary and opens his timeless chamber, right? Now immediately, and now at this point, Wentworth, Bearcat, Blackout is aware of his being across all time, right? Across all of these ages. So he immediately warns this glaive, saying, okay, hey, I get it. You woke me up because you found this Onyx Sanctuary, this treasure trove to you, right? Thank you for waking me. Don't wake anyone else from these other, because I need to figure out where we are, right? So don't wake anybody else from the chambers. The glaive's like, no problem, right? And so at that point, the glaive is like, hey, and starts explaining to him, and Blackout realizes he's in the time of the nanos, and he will become the nano knight here. And nano does not refer to his class, it's just he's in the time of the nanites. All the magical, all the Numenera, all the odd effects that are happening now are primarily happening because of nanites, right? So like nanotechnology, okay? That's what I mean. So at this point, he, this guy, this glaive starts to take him out of the Onyx Sanctuary, and they're going to go to Steadfast, which is Steadfast is a city in the Numenera lore, okay? And it's an advanced city where, the Aeon priests are there, the Convergence is there. Much of what you will encounter in a Numenera game is there, right? It's the Numenera setting. We're now playing in the Numenera setting, right? So at this point, they start to make their way down from the Onyx Sanctuary, and this was a little bit funny and a little bit horrifying. But as they're trying to escape from the Onyx Sanctuary, this glaive who is awakened Blackout is trying to make his way out of the Onyx Sanctuary, and while he was able to get into the Onyx Sanctuary, he makes a terrible mistake on his way out and walks straight through a monofilament mesh grid, right? And it has these monofilaments like every 8 inches, and it just cuts him into meat cubes, and he just falls over dead, right? So terrible, horrifying, but the glaive is dead, and now Blackout makes his way out into the world, and he's ready. Like, he knows what the nanite age is, right? So he makes his way to Steadfast, and he finds his way all the way into the city, and just stops somewhere to eat. He's very hungry because he's kind of traveled in from the city, and he just stops at a cafe to get his first meal in the city of Steadfast. And that's where we're going to cut it off. We'll cut it off there. Thank you so much for letting me share this with you. Every single word you just heard is my humble opinion. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion. When you get in the comment, is my humble opinion on running a Numenera game with the gold player. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider subscribing, and have a fetch millennium.